We are going to learn about sea turtles today. In this Young Explorer magazine, there's an article on page 16 called Sea Turtles. So let's turn to page 16 of this book. Checking my page numbers. Here we are. Sea turtles. This is a green sea turtle. It lives in the ocean. Baby sea turtles hatch from eggs, then they crawl across the sand. They must get to the water fast. Other animals might eat them. Let's explore this picture. Here is a little ping pong ball shaped egg like we learned about during Animals Hatched. And there's a tiny little sea turtle hatching out of it. And then he's making his way across the sand out to the ocean. Can you tell that it's very early in the morning when the sun is just about to come up? That's the safest time for them to make it to the ocean. Baby sea turtles swim to deep water. They eat jellies to grow big. The baby turtles grow into adults. Then they eat only seagrass. So here is a young sea turtle, and he's going to eat this big, yummy jellyfish. Sometimes sea turtles need help. People can help them. This sea turtle is back in the ocean. It is a good place to live and grow. See, these people here are helping this sea turtle. I actually got to visit a sea turtle rehabilitation place one time. It was very special. They help get them all fixed up and they release them back to the ocean so they can swim and live. Now, for today's lesson, we're going to do the life cycle of a sea turtle. We have a good connection because we learned about Animals Hatched. Before we start our life cycle, I want to look at some sea turtle facts that I have. When born, green sea turtles are only 2 inches long, but they grow up to be 5 feet in length and can weigh over 700 pounds. So they start off about this big. At that same sea turtle place I told you about, I got to go see sea turtles hatching and help them get to the ocean. They were very little. Sea turtles hatch from eggs buried in the sand on the beach. They feed on crabs, jellyfish, and other creatures when young. As adults, they become herbivores, primarily eating seagrasses and algae. Now for this job, you need a piece of paper, any kind of paper, a pair of scissors because we'll be making a wheel, a marker or some crayons for your outlines, your words, and your pictures. Before we start making our wheel, I want to show you some cool stuff I have. I think I've shown you these before during Animals Hatched, but this is a little toy model of a sandy beach, and down inside are buried little ping pong sized eggs of turtle eggs. Now this would be covered up with sand if it were really on the beach, and usually beaches that have lots of sea turtle nesting spots, they have places that protect them or have signs that protect them so you don't accidentally step or drive on them. But they're buried under the sand and you might not know that they are there. You saw in the video on Reading Rainbow where they buried their eggs in the sand, and it was really cool seeing that. Then the mommy goes back out to the ocean. When they're ready, they hatch out of those little ping pong sized eggs, little tiny turtles. And in the case of the green sea turtle, they come out almost grayish black. And that's how I saw them when I got to see them hatching. They were almost grayish black. Then their little turtle bodies swim out to the water. They're still that color. And they're eating their jellyfish to grow strong, maybe some crabs. And they're all alone. They don't need a mommy to help them right away. And then when they grow into their adult form, they start turning into their green shell, their skin colors are changing, and when it is time for this turtle to lay eggs, it will actually go back to the same beach where he was born or she was born to lay their eggs. And that's the little life cycle of a turtle. So let's work on making this in a life cycle wheel. Fold your paper in half with a hamburger fold, nice and wide. And we're gonna cut it into a circle. You guys did a fabulous job of doing this when we did the ladybug life cycle. I love seeing your cutting skills getting better and better. Now I already have a crease from where I did that fold, so I'm gonna fold it the other way, lining up my lines to make my second crease. And I should have an X on my paper, across and across. Pick your marker or pencil or crayon and trace your lines. Just like that. We're going to pick one pie piece to start with. And the very first part of this sea turtle's life cycle is, of course, the eggs. So I'm going to write the word egg. And to draw the egg, I might have some sand piled up all around it. A little hole in the sand. This is how I'm choosing to make detail for this picture. I'm doing my marker outline with some sand. I could color in the marker with yellow, or I could use crayon. And a white crayon should show up just fine on this paper. If you have white paper or you don't have a white crayon, you can just do little circle outlines to show perfect little circles. They're not shaped like the chicken eggs that we saw. They're just little circles, all piled up together. Now we're going to turn our wheel, and out of the egg there becomes a little hatchling coming out. So we're going to write the word hatchling. H-C-H, hatch. Ling. For this picture, you can draw the egg a little open. So here's part of my egg, and coming out of the egg would be my baby sea turtle. Now I talked about how they were a little bit gray or black, so I'm going to try and use a gray to draw his fin, a little tiny shell, another little fin, and the head. And I like to go back and forth between my crayons and my markers to give it detail. Let's see if I have a gray crayon. It's kind of silver. Okay. So he's hatching out of that little egg. Turn my wheel. And now we're looking at the baby sea turtle. So we're going to write the word baby here. Baby. E, a Y that makes the E sound at the end. Baby. And I'm going to draw that little baby sea turtle. He's not exactly green yet. And for this one, I'm going to give him an outline because they have a really cool pattern on their shell. Here's his head, some eyes. They're front flippers are like long, good swimming flippers. Their back flippers are a little smaller. Give him a little pattern on his shell. And I would color him in gray. They don't really have their color just yet. Very dark shell. At least the ones I saw were super dark. They also can call this the juvenile stage instead of baby, because they would be a little kid turtle, sort of. Now let's go to the last part of this life cycle wheel. From the egg, we have the hatchling, then the baby, and finally the adult. Adult. And the adult has this beautiful dark green shell. I'm going to find a good green for my shell. It's not too dark because I can't find them. And I'm making it a little bit pointy on the end because I've noticed that's often how they look. I give my shell some detail with the plates pattern. Adults are much more detailed looking when you see them in person. Then I'm going to give a little lighter green for the body. Or you could do yellow like the one we have a toy of. They still have those much bigger front flippers for swimming and long, and the back flippers are a little bit wider, rounder, and shorter. And on this one I can even see a little tail. There are more than just green sea turtles in the ocean. We read about them today. That's why I'm using the green sea turtle as my example. The leatherback turtles are really big, and they are much darker. All right, here's my life cycle wheel of a sea turtle. From the egg, hatchling, baby, and adult. Make sure you post your picture on Seesaw so I can see the wonderful work you did.